Your host W. Goodell. Let's get right to it. We're gonna kick it off in Louisville today. A new update in the Breonna Taylor investigation and the ongoing saga of her murder at the hands of the Louisville Metro Police Department and the journey for justice for her. Very difficult journey it's been. I believe Breonna was killed in March. That was in March. It was February. This is a while ago, and here we are months later through the pandemic, and we're still dealing with it. But here's Mark Vanderhoff, and he's gonna tell you what I'm gonna talk. He's gonna set it off for me, and I'm gonna retort and elaborate. Let's go.
Plea deal was offered this summer, but it just became public after a Facebook post by Sam Aguiar. He's one of the attorneys representing Breonna Taylor's family, and he called it an attack on Taylor. We spoke with one of Aguiar's colleagues, Lanita Baker, who is also representing the Taylor family.
And it only served one purpose, which is to tarnish Breonna Taylor's character.
The plea deal was offered to Jamarcus Glover, the ex-boyfriend of Breonna Taylor. He was arrested on drug trafficking charges at a separate location the same night Taylor was fatally shot by LMPD officers serving a no-knock warrant on her home.
Jamarcus Glover has indicated repeatedly that Breonna Taylor didn't have anything to do with the allegations, with his charges, and so he did not sign the plea agreement.
The offer was contingent upon Glover admitting he was part of a, quote, organized crime syndicate with a list of co-defendants. On that list was Breonna Taylor's name.
I was disappointed. Being a former prosecutor, the term co-defendant it's a legal term. It's for someone who is a party to the offense. Breonna Taylor was never charged with any crimes.
Never part of anything.
Attorney Tom Wine declined an interview request, but he issued a statement acknowledging Taylor was never charged with a crime and was not a co-defendant. And he says the plea officer posted online was an early draft. The statement read in part, "When I was advised of the discussions, out of respect for Ms. Taylor, I directed that Ms. Breonna Taylor's name be removed."
You can say it was a draft, but it never should have been included.
Disgusting, man.
In his statement, Wine also took aim at Aguiar's Facebook post, saying Aguiar's statements about the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office were a, quote, false accusation. Mark Vanderhoff, WLKY.
This is terrible, man. It's disgusting, man. The attempt to slander this young lady's name even after her death, just to refrain from taking any culpability in her death, even though it was your officers that you sent. The city of Louisville sent them officers to this young lady's house. The reason why would still be investigated, but I have a hunch on why, and I'm gonna do a program on it. I think I'm just do a strictly Breonna program, and then so we can leave that for now. Murdered at the hands of the police department on a no-knock warrant, looking for a man that hasn't been around, and she hasn't been around for 2 years just because he put the address there. Her boyfriend, her living boyfriend, fired at the intruders. There were these people he perceived to be intruders because they weren't supposed to be there. And he fired, and after he fired one shot, fire was returned by the Louisville Police Department, and Breonna Taylor was subsequently killed. I believe she was shot 7 or 8 times. You guys seen the report, the blank report. From the beginning, this whole situation was botched and covered up, and it's just dirty. And we're gonna get to the bottom of this. There's no way at the end. I think this goes all the way up to the top of the political food chain in as far as the city of Louisville is concerned. So we're gonna be posted on that. Rest in peace to Miss Taylor, and justice for Bree. Okay. So now that we're on that kind of vibe, we're talking about police brutality. It's not gonna be the police brutality channel, but we got 100 protesters in the city of Los Angeles for a shooting from yesterday. About 200. Here we are. Let me just get to the report. Well, I'm gonna read it for you. Let's get to it. There you go, guys.
This breaking news: a shooting investigation involving the LA County Sheriff's Department underway right now in South LA.
We have been told a black man was shot and killed by deputies, and the crowd there is growing tonight after a post on the Black Lives Matter LA Twitter account. Kick Line's Leslie Marin is live in South LA right now with the very latest. Leslie.
Yeah, we are in front of the Sheriff's Department station here in South LA, and they just gave us an update on what they know happened in this shooting. I will tell you, they are worried about crowd control tonight. In fact, they have placed yellow tape at the front entrance of the station here tonight. But I do want to get to Sky 9, who is live over the scene right near 109th and Budlong. here in South LA. You can see there's a crowd of about 75 to 100 demonstrators out here. A large amount of sheriff's deputies are staged in the area. As sheriffs say, they are still conducting their investigation. Let's get to video from earlier, and here is what sheriff's investigators say they know and what they believe may have happened. They say around 3:15 this afternoon, deputies encountered a man riding a bike. They say that man was in violation of a vehicle code, and that is when the deputies approached
riding
him.
bike on that sidewalk.
The man ended up running from deputies about a block and a half away. Once deputies caught up with that man, he allegedly punched a deputy, dropping a bag of clothes. That's when investigators say the deputies noticed a gun in the bag that man was holding. Here's what the lieutenant had to say happened next.
Our suspect was holding some items of clothing in his hands, punched one of the officers in the face, and then dropped the items in his hands. The deputies noticed that inside the clothing items that he dropped was a black semi-automatic handgun, at which time a deputy-involved shooting occurred. We do know that the suspect was struck several times. However, we are unaware of exactly where.
Sounds weird to me.
We have not been able to move the body yet as we were waiting for the coroner's office. I would just like to say we're out here obviously doing a thorough investigation. Give us time to conduct our investigation. We will get all the facts of the case out.
Everything was fine until that part.
Okay, well, this is cell phone video that you are looking at of the aftermath of this shooting. Now, you can see witnesses in that area watching as deputies render aid to that suspect. Deputies did tell us that a semi-automatic handgun was recovered at the scene. Right now, investigators only described this suspect as a black man, possibly in his 30s. Back out here live, investigators also confirmed that both deputies did fire their weapons, but they could not say how many times. They say they're still conducting interviews on the scene. They're also asking if anyone has any video, cell phone video of what happened in that area when this shooting occurred. Please reach out to the Sheriff's Department. For now, reporting live, Leslie Madine, KCAL 9 News.
Right, Leslie,
Thanks, Leslie. Now, I mean, it's fresh shooting, right? So, it's a fresh shooting, so, it's a fresh shooting, so, you know, all the facts, all the information is going to come in and everything. My thing that bugged me out was just from the report was when they were talking about the plastic bag and the clothes and whatever, and they found a gun in the plastic bag with clothes. Okay, cool. If the gun was in the plastic bag, this is just off preliminary news report. If the gun was in the plastic bag, how the hell y'all knew he had a gun? Like, you know, which he had a clear plastic bag with the gun on it? Like I don't think so. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But there's police shooting. You got a whole bunch of protesters out there now. You know, and that's what we're dealing with there. So now, we're gonna find out what happens with that. So since I have this on my little docket, I'm just gonna show it to you guys. This little Anthony Toliver video. Look at these badass kids. Look at these badass kids. Anthony Toliver, basketball 10-year pro, comes to the school. This is from the NBA Hoops page, and TikTok from Russ Sniper. Yo, he comes to the school to show love to the kids, you know, and the kids, you know, since it's not some superstar like Kawhi, they're gonna sit there and take advantage of Anthony Toliver. A real good guy to Anthony Toliver, solid guy, man. You know, he's on the FB page, on the Chris Taz FB page, and he's always interacting with regular people and all that. So, you know, cool guy, man, it seems to me. And, you know, he's been in the league a while. And for these kids to behave this way, ridiculous. A bunch of little jerks, if you ask me. Here they are.
This boy got mixed. He got mixed.
I didn't fall.
And he talking about he ain't fall. Trying to explain it to these little badass kids. He should have challenged them and say, yo, go play me right now.
I didn't fall.
Talking about I didn't fall. Your morning cup edition, man. You know, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you know who KingFace is? Do y'all know who KingFace is? KingFace is a man nicknamed also the conservative thug or the MAGA thug. He's a young brother in his early 30s out of Queens, New York, and he's a huge monster Trump supporter. Candace Owens associate and ally. You know, they're very cool. And very polarizing guy. You know, because the conservatives go crazy for KingFace. It's amazing. Because KingFace is... I had to bring this. I said to myself, I'm gonna bring him the KingFace story because, you know, didn't bring it. Let me just get to it. Show you what's going on with him. He's been low key right now. You know, he's been real low. If he wasn't sick, he would have been probably at the RNC convention. People have seen his face before. Some people haven't, but he's sick right now. He's very sick, and the reactions from Twitter have been very mixed, and they've been very extreme one way or another. They've been some people hoping that he get well wishing him, and other people's are saying good. But let me introduce you to KingFace, okay? Let's get off of this. Here's KingFace.
Yeah, are you familiar with the movement, ADOS? You talking about the beggars? I call them the beggars. You call them the beggars? Why you, the ADOS movement, yeah, why you call them the beggars?
Blexit. See, he wants the black exit. He represents that for blacks to leave the Democratic Party.
I think he's aware of everything. Yeah, why do you call them the beggars? Because they're begging for stuff that they didn't earn. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got nobody alive today that's a slave that we can give that money to that earned it. We can't prove nothing.
This dude right here, man. He's a lot of people he don't want to be friends with.
Begging and thinking that money's gonna change our lives. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys been receiving $44 trillion in the last 50, 60 years. They invested $44 trillion into y'all communities, and y'all got nothing out of that. What is money doing? You know what I mean? Money ain't gonna do shit. And how
offends a lot of people.
How much they're supposed to pay and who's gonna pay it. Now, if you do want to go to that aspect and y'all want to go get y'all little slave money, if you want to go get that, then you need to tell to the Democratic Party if they are registered Democrats, then they should be paying those taxes to make sure all you guys get your reparations. Because my Republican Party is not paying for that because we're the ones that made you fucking free motherfuckers. We the ones that made sure you niggas was able to own shit.
You hear this nigga?
You ain't gonna tax us.
You hear this nigga?
We didn't get no fucking money
Mad
off of,
disrespect.
right? So now y'all go to y'all Democratic Party, the one that was pushing for slavery, that wanted to keep y'all niggas. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all gonna tell them to go pay for that shit. But if I or any of my white friends that are not with that shit have to pay for that shit, it's a dub. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not paying for that because that money it's gonna come from everybody. It's gonna come from people like me that fucking work. It's gonna come from people like me that pay taxes. It's gonna come from people like you, sign that up. Because where they gonna get the money from? Huh? Who are you gonna sue? Who?
That's Candace Owens' home. She rock with him.
If they could give me a logical argument, you know what I'm saying? This is why nobody gives a fuck. They tell you about reparations so they can hype you niggas. They're not ever gonna give y'all niggas that. So stop wasting your time trying to get a hand